If I were to tell you that your future isn't decided by one big moment, but by the little choices you make today, would you believe me? Most people think success comes from a stroke of luck, a lucky break, or being in the right place at the right time. But that's not true. The truth is this: your life is being shaped right now, this very moment, by what you think, what you say, and what you do in the smallest of ways. Napoleon Hill, in his timeless lessons on success, often said that success is never an accident. It is the result of definite purpose and the habits that grow out of that purpose. That means greatness is built not in giant leaps, but in daily steps. And so, if you feel stuck today, if you wonder why your life hasn't changed, don't wait for some miracle. Don't wait for someone to save you. The power is already in your hands, hidden in the ordinary moments of your life. Let me show you how. The story begins several years ago. I met a man named David. From the outside, David looked like everyone else in his neighborhood. He had a decent job, a small home, and a family he loved. But inside, he felt trapped. Every day seemed the same. Wake up late. Rush to work. Come home exhausted. Watch TV until midnight. Sleep. Repeat. He told me. I feel like life is passing me by. I'm waiting for a chance, a big break, but it never comes. Does that sound familiar? David believed his problem was lack of opportunity. He thought maybe if he met the right person, won the lottery, or got a sudden promotion, everything would change. But life doesn't work that way. Napoleon Hill warned us of this trap. He said people waste their lives waiting for a lucky break, when in reality, opportunity often hides inside the choices we make daily. So I asked David a question. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? He looked embarrassed. Honestly? I hit snooze 3 or 4 times. Then I rush around, already stressed before the day even starts. I smiled. That's your problem. You're letting your mornings control you, instead of you controlling them. Change that one thing, and your whole life can change. Rule number 1. Start your morning with intention. Think about this. Every day begins with the same gift, 24 fresh hours. But how you use the first hour often decides how you use the rest. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, began his mornings by writing in his journal about the kind of man he wanted to be. Benjamin Franklin asked himself each morning, "What good shall I do this day?" These men didn't leave their days to chance. They shaped them with intention, and so I told David, tomorrow, wake up just 15 minutes earlier. Don't rush. Sit quietly. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what kind of day do I want to live? Choose one word, strength, peace, kindness, or focus, and let it guide you. At first, he was skeptical. How could something so small make a difference? But he tried it anyway. The next morning, instead of hitting snooze, David sat at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee. He thought about his word for the day, patience. He whispered it to himself. Then he went to work, and guess what? That day, when a coworker annoyed him, instead of snapping back, he remembered his word, patience. He stayed calm. He made better choices. He came home that evening feeling proud instead of drained. One small choice changed his entire day. The science behind it, modern psychology, now confirms what Napoleon Hill taught decades ago. Your first thoughts of the morning set the tone for your brain's chemistry. Start with chaos and stress, and your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. But start with calm and intention, and your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals of focus and motivation. So when you start your morning with intention, you're not just creating a habit, you're rewiring your mind for success. Rule number 2. Practice gratitude for small wins. After David learned to shape his mornings, he came back to me and said, I feel better, but sometimes I still feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I do all these little things, but my goal still seems so far away. That's when I introduced him to the second practice, gratitude for small wins. See, most people live in what I call the not enough trap. They work hard, but at the end of the day, all they see is what's missing. More money, more success, more recognition. And so, even progress feels like failure. But gratitude flips the script. Gratitude takes the small step you made today and says, this matters. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb in a single try. He failed thousands of times. But he didn't see failure, he saw small wins. Each experiment taught him something new. Each step was progress. And because he was grateful for those steps, he had the strength to keep going until success was his. I told David. At the end of each day, write down 3 small wins. They don't have to be big. Maybe you kept your patience. Maybe you finished a task. Maybe you chose water instead of soda. Write them down. Then say thank you for them. At first, it felt silly to him. But soon, something powerful happened. Instead of ending his days feeling empty, he began ending them with hope. He realized he was making progress. And that progress gave him energy to keep moving forward. Gratitude turned his frustration into fuel. Rule number 3. Feed your mind positive thoughts. The third practice I shared with David was this: protect your mind like a garden. Every day, weeds will try to grow, negative thoughts, fears, doubts. If you don't pull them out, they'll spread and choke your growth. But if you plant positive thoughts, your life will bloom. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But here's the key: your mind can only conceive what it's fed. If you feed it anger, fear, or despair, it will grow weeds. But if you feed it courage, hope, and faith, it will grow strength. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, could have filled his mind with bitterness. Instead, he filled it with visions of peace and freedom. That's why, when he finally walked free, he was not a broken man, but a leader. I told David. Every morning, choose one positive thought to carry with you. Repeat it when doubts come. So he began saying to himself, I am patient. I am strong. I am moving forward. And soon, those thoughts became his reality. The transformation. Months later, David wasn't the same man. His mornings had order. His days had purpose. His nights had gratitude. His mind was stronger, and the best part? He no longer felt stuck. He no longer waited for a miracle. He realized he was shaping his future every day through simple choices. That's the power of intention, gratitude, and positive thought. 3 practices, small in themselves, but mighty when repeated daily. The lesson. So here's what I want you to remember. Success is not an accident. It is built on small daily choices. Your mornings shape your days. Gratitude gives you strength. Positive thoughts create your reality. Don't wait for a lucky break. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start today. Choose one morning habit. Write down one small win. Plant one positive thought. And just like David, you'll discover that when you master the small moments, you master your life. This is only the beginning. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how to set a definite purpose, a clear vision for your life that pulls you forward no matter what obstacles come your way. Because remember, the sun does not rise by accident, and neither should you. Part 2, 6 daily practices that rewire your mind. The hook. Let me share with you a truth that most people never discover until it's too late. Your greatest enemy and your greatest ally are both living inside you. Every day, the voice in your head, the choices you make, and the thoughts you repeat are either building you up or tearing you down. Napoleon Hill said it best. Every man is what he is, because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind. Think about that. It's not the economy, not politics, not luck, but the dominating thoughts you allow inside that determine the shape of your life. So if you've ever wondered why some people rise from nothing while others stay stuck despite every advantage, here's the answer. It's their daily practices. They've trained their minds to work for them, not against them. And the good news? You can do the same. Let me show you 6 simple practices that can transform the way you think, act, and live. 1. Speak kindly to yourself. I once met a young woman named Sarah. On the outside, she seemed bright and capable. But whenever she failed at something, whether it was a small mistake at work or a personal disappointment, her inner voice attacked her. You're not good enough. You always mess things up. Others are better than you. She carried this unseen enemy everywhere she went. And soon, it drained her confidence, poisoned her joy, and chained her potential. The cruel irony? She would never speak to a friend the way she spoke to herself. Napoleon Hill taught that our thoughts, spoken or unspoken, act like seeds in the soil of the mind. Negative words plant weeds. Positive words plant strength. So I asked Sarah to try something new. Each time that inner critic rose, she was to pause and ask herself, would I say this to someone I love? If not, she had to replace the thought. Instead of, I failed, she said. I learned. Instead of, I'm weak, she said, I'm growing stronger. At first, it felt strange, even forced. But over time, her voice softened. And then it strengthened. She became her own ally instead of her own enemy. History is full of people who mastered this inner dialogue. Eleanor Roosevelt, who endured harsh criticism, once declared, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Leonardo da Vinci wrote notes of encouragement to himself, reminding his restless spirit to keep searching. And Sarah? Months later, she walked with a new lightness. Not because the world had changed, but because her words had, too. Set clear daily priorities. Let me tell you another story. A man named James once told me, "I work all day, but when I lie down at night, I feel like I accomplished nothing." Have you ever felt the same? Busy but unfulfilled, exhausted yet strangely empty? That's the hidden cost of living without priorities. The day rules you, instead of you ruling the day. Napoleon Hill believed that definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. And daily priorities are the practical tool that keeps you aligned with that purpose. I asked James, "What matters most to you today?" "Not 10 things. Not 20. Just 3. The next morning, instead of drifting, James wrote down 3 clear priorities. 1. Finish a work project. Point 2. Call his aging mother. Point 3. Spend 30 minutes exercising. He focused on those first. At day's end, though other tasks remained unfinished, he felt strong, fulfilled, and in control. Think of it like a sculptor chiseling stone. If he strikes at random, he creates only dust. But when each strike is aimed with intention, beauty emerges. So too with your life. When your effort is scattered, little is gained. When your effort is focused, progress compounds. 3. Learn something new. Everyday life without growth becomes dull. Many people live the same year 40 times and call it a life. But inside every human being is the hunger to expand, to grow, to learn. Hill taught that every adversity carries with it the seed of equal or greater benefit. But here's the catch: you only find that seed if you keep learning. Leonardo da Vinci filled notebook after notebook, studying everything from anatomy to water currents. His genius was not just talent, it was the daily habit of learning. Consider a young boy named Daniel who dreamed of being a writer. At first, his words were clumsy. He doubted himself. But he made a decision. Every day, he would learn one new thing. A word. A phrase. A lesson from another writer. Years later, Daniel became a published author. His growth wasn't sudden. It was built, brick by brick, through daily learning. Imagine what would happen if you fed your mind just one new idea each day. In a month, you'd have 30. In a year, 365. In 10 years, 650. That's how masters are made. 4. Guard your inner garden. Every mind is a garden. Weeds, fear, doubt, anger, try to grow daily. If left unchecked, they spread. But if you choose your thoughts carefully, planting seeds of courage, faith, and gratitude, your mind becomes rich soil for success. Nelson Mandela, locked away for 27 years, had every reason to let bitterness consume him. But he fed his mind with thoughts of freedom and unity. And when he walked free, he carried not hatred but hope. Ask yourself each morning, what shall I feed my mind today? Fear? Or faith, doubt? Or determination? The choice is yours, and it shapes everything. 5. Whisper words of strength. There's another practice, simple but powerful: affirmations. Napoleon Hill often spoke of autosuggestion, the method of telling your subconscious mind what you want it to believe. When the athlete says, "I am strong, I am ready, I can do this," his body responds. When the student says, "I am prepared, I will focus, I will succeed," her mind steadies. Remember, your subconscious mind does not argue. It accepts the words you feed it. So be careful with your whispers. Make them words of strength. 6. Master the day, master the life. Finally, remember this: success is not hidden in years, it is hidden in days. And each day is shaped by these small practices. Speak kindly to yourself. Set clear daily priorities. Learn something new. Guard your mind like a garden. Feed it words of strength. Do these daily, and you will not merely survive life, you will master it. The lesson: David, Sarah, James, Daniel. Ordinary people transformed not by chance, but by practice. By applying these 6 habits, they rewired their minds, reshaped their days, and redirected their futures. And you can too. Start today. Pick just one practice. Speak kindly to yourself. Write down 3 priorities. Learn 1 new thing. Plant 1 positive thought. Whisper 1 word of strength. Do it again tomorrow. And again the next day. And soon you'll discover the same truth Napoleon Hill taught over and over. The small daily acts of discipline are the foundation of every great life. This is part 2. In part 3, we'll go deeper into the power of definiteness of purpose. How to create a vision so clear that it pulls you forward no matter the obstacle. Because the greatest journeys are not walked by accident. Part 3. Nightly reflections, steady progress, and the power of movement. The hook. Let me ask you a question. Do you end your days in control of them? Or do they end in control of you? Most people rush from sunrise to sunset with no pause, no reflection, no real sense of direction. They collapse into bed exhausted, their minds buzzing with regrets, unfinished tasks, and worries about tomorrow. And then they repeat the same cycle the next day. This is how weeks, months, even years slip away without growth. Napoleon Hill warned against living life by drift, allowing time, circumstances, and chance to decide your fate. He taught that only those who pause, reflect, and deliberately correct their course ever reach true success. That's why part 3 is about 3 powerful practices: reflection before sleep, celebrating progress over perfection, and moving your body daily. These habits, simple as they may seem, hold the power to turn ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. 1. Reflect before you sleep. I once met a businessman named Charles. On the outside, he was successful, good income, respected in his field. Yet inside, he was weary. He told me, "I can't remember the last time I felt peace. My days all blur together." When I asked him what his nightly routine was, he laughed. "Routine? I just watch TV until I fall asleep." And there was his problem. He ended each day without reflection. His mind carried the same mistakes, worries, and blind spots into tomorrow. He was like a traveler who never checked his compass, wondering why he kept getting lost. History shows us the wisdom of nightly reflection. The philosopher Seneca wrote each evening about where he had acted wisely, where he had failed, and how he might improve. Mahatma Gandhi reviewed his days, asking whether he had lived in line with his values. To them, reflection was not luxury, it was survival. I taught Charles a simple ritual. Before bed, sit quietly for 5 minutes and ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What did I do well today? 2. Where did I fall short? 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? He began this practice, hesitant at first. But soon, something remarkable happened. Instead of lying awake restless, he slept more peacefully. His mistakes became lessons. His victories, no matter how small, became fuel. Reflection turned his days from wasted hours into stepping stones of growth. Napoleon Hill would call this organized experience, taking the raw material of your day and refining it into wisdom. Without it, life is just noise. With it, life becomes a symphony of lessons. 2. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Let me share another story. A young woman named Emily was training to run her first 5K. On her first day, she barely finished a single lap around the track. She came home discouraged, ready to give up. "I'll never be good enough," she said. This is the trap of perfection. People measure themselves against impossible standards and fail to recognize the small wins that are shaping them. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Great achievements are the result of many small efforts, repeated day in and day out." I told Emily, "Don't chase perfection. Celebrate progress. Yesterday you couldn't run half a lap. Today you ran a full one. That's victory." She began to see her journey differently. Each extra lap was celebrated, each improvement honored. Over weeks, she grew stronger. Months later, she crossed the finish line, not because she was perfect, but because she had honored progress. History proves this truth. Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb in one flawless stroke. He tested thousands of times. Each attempt was progress. Each failure was data. Had he demanded perfection, he would have quit. Instead, his persistence gave the world light. Or consider Michelangelo, chiseling marble day by day. The statue did not appear instantly. It was progress, not perfection, that unveiled beauty. Here is a simple practice. At the end of each day, write down one step forward you took. It could be finishing a task, showing patience in a moment of anger, or learning one new thing. Acknowledge it. Celebrate it. Progress fuels the spirit. Perfection drains it. Choose progress. 3. Move your body every day. There's one more practice that cannot be ignored: movement. Modern life has trapped many in stillness. Hours in cars. Hours at desks. Hours staring at screens. The body weakens, breath shortens, energy fades, not from effort, but from neglect. And when the body weakens, so does the spirit. Napoleon Hill reminded us that mind and body are inseparably connected. A sharp mind cannot live in a sluggish body. The Greeks knew this too, training both the body and the mind as equal parts of greatness. I once met a retired teacher named Linda. She told me, "I feel old, tired, and stuck." I asked her, "Do you move daily?" She shook her head. "No, I barely leave my chair." I challenged her. "Start with 10 minutes. Just walk. Tomorrow, walk again." At first, 10 minutes felt like a mountain. But slowly, her body began to change. Her breath deepened, her steps grew lighter, and most importantly, her mind became clearer. She told me weeks later, "I don't just feel alive again. I feel hopeful." Movement is not only exercise. It is an act of declaring to life, "I am still here. I choose to live fully." You don't need a gym or fancy equipment. Stretch. Walk. Dance. Breathe deeply. Move in whatever way you can. Each motion awakens strength that was always there, waiting. The lesson now: let's tie it together. Reflection before sleep sharpens your wisdom. Celebrating progress fuels your spirit. Daily movement strengthens your body and renews your energy. Together, these habits form a foundation. They keep you learning, growing, and becoming more, not by accident, but by design. Remember these truths. Reflection turns mistakes into teachers. Progress, not perfection, builds greatness. Movement awakens energy and keeps the spirit alive. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start small. Tonight, reflect for 5 minutes. Tomorrow, notice one step of progress. Then move your body in some way: walk, stretch, or lift. Repeat it. Build it. Live it. Napoleon Hill taught us that success is never sudden. It is the result of daily, deliberate habits. And these 3 practices are stepping stones on that path. This is part 3. In part 4, we will go even deeper into the principle that separates those who drift through life from those who master it: definiteness of purpose. Because without a clear purpose, even the best habits can scatter like leaves in the wind. But with purpose, every habit, every thought, every action lines up in powerful harmony. And that, my friend, is where transformation begins. Part 4. The power of a definite purpose. The hook. Imagine a ship leaving New York Harbor. One ship has a captain, a clear map, and a set destination: London. The other ship has no captain, no crew, no plan. It drifts with the tides, pulled by the wind, hoping that somehow it will reach somewhere worth going. Which ship will arrive safely? Which ship will likely be lost at sea? Napoleon Hill taught us that most people live their lives like the second ship. They drift. They let circumstances, chance, and other people decide their direction. And then they wonder why they feel lost, unfulfilled, or stuck in endless circles. But those who live with definiteness of purpose, a clear and burning aim, become unstoppable. They are like the first ship, guided, directed, certain of where they are headed. No wind, no storm, no tide can throw them permanently off course. This part is about discovering and living with that definite purpose. 1. The story of 2 brothers. Let me tell you a story about 2 brothers from the Midwest. Their names were Jack and Henry. Both were smart, hardworking, and raised in the same home. But their lives turned out very differently. Jack was restless. He jumped from job to job, always chasing quick money or the next exciting thing. One year he was in sales, the next he was in construction, then he tried his hand at real estate. He worked hard, but he never truly moved forward. Henry, on the other hand, made a decision at 21. He said, "I'm going to become a teacher, and one day, I will open a school that changes lives." That was his definite purpose. Every action he took lined up with that goal. He studied education. He worked long hours teaching kids. He saved money, built connections, and slowly but surely, the school of his dreams came to life. By the time he was 40, Henry had created something lasting, something that gave his life meaning. Jack, meanwhile, was still drifting, older, tired, and wondering why life never worked out for him. What was the difference? It wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It was definiteness of purpose. 2. Why purpose matters. Napoleon Hill interviewed more than 500 of the most successful men and women of his time: Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, Alexander Graham Bell, and many others. He discovered one common factor: every single one of them had a definite chief aim. Without it, people drift. With it, they rise. Think of it this way. A magnifying glass, when left in the sun, spreads light all over the paper. It warms but does little else. But when you focus that light in one direction, it ignites fire. Your mind works the same way. A scattered life produces warm intentions but little result. A focused life, driven by a definite purpose, produces power. 3. Finding your definite purpose. Now you might be wondering, but how do I find my purpose? It doesn't always appear in a flash of lightning. Often it grows from your interests, your talents, and the problems you feel called to solve. Napoleon Hill offered this exercise. 1. Write down what you most desire in life, not what others expect, but what you truly want. 2. Decide what you are willing to give in return for it. Nothing in life comes without sacrifice. 3. Fix a date by which you intend to achieve it. 4. Write a clear, concise statement of your purpose. 5. Repeat it aloud every day, with belief and emotion, until it becomes a burning obsession. For example, Henry's statement could have been, I will build a school that inspires children and transforms lives. I will devote my time, my energy, and my money toward this goal. By the age of 40, my school will be thriving. I believe it, I see it, I will achieve it. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is organized, purposeful faith in action. 4. The dangers of drifting. Hill wrote often about the danger of drifting, moving through life without aim, without direction, letting outside forces control you. He even described it as the tool of failure. Think about the people you know who drift. They complain about their jobs but never choose another path. They dream of health but never commit to daily movement. They hope for wealth but never create a plan. Drifting feels easy in the moment. You avoid hard choices. But it leads to regret later. In contrast, a definite purpose gives you strength to endure the difficult days. It pulls you forward, even when the road feels long. 5. The farmer's lesson. There's a story of a farmer who dreamed of harvesting golden fields of corn. Each spring, he planted his seeds. He tilled the soil, watered the land, and protected his crops from weeds and pests. Across the fence was another farmer who had no plan. He threw seeds wherever he felt like it, some in rocky ground, some too deep, some too shallow. He often forgot to water them. By harvest, he had little to show. The first farmer, with a definite purpose, reaped abundance. The second, drifting without aim, reaped disappointment. Life is like that field. If you plant with purpose and tend with persistence, your harvest will be rich. If you scatter aimlessly, you will be left hungry. 6. Living with purpose every day. Here's the good news. Definite purpose is not just for great inventors or millionaires. It is for you. Your purpose might be building a business, raising a strong family, writing a book, serving your community, or mastering a craft. It doesn't matter how big or small others think it is. What matters is that it matters to you. Start small. Write your purpose clearly. Read it daily. Make decisions through its filter. Does this move me closer to my purpose or away from it? Over time, your choices will align. Your energy will focus. Your life will gather momentum, just like Henry's did when he chose teaching as his purpose. The lesson: definiteness of purpose is the foundation of success. It gives you clarity in confusion, direction in uncertainty, and power in weakness. Without it, you drift. With it, you rise. Remember, a ship with a captain reaches its harbor. A magnifying glass and focus ignites fire. A life with purpose creates power. So write down your purpose. Claim it. Live it. And when doubt comes, as it surely will, return to your definite aim and let it guide you like a compass in the night. This is part 4. In part 5, we will explore another great truth from Napoleon Hill: the power of mastermind. Because even the strongest purpose grows faster and stronger when joined with the minds and support of others. And that, my friend, is where ordinary dreams become extraordinary realities. Backhand index pointing right, that's part 4. About 1,000 words, simple story style, clear for an American audience, modeled after Napoleon Hill's tone. Part 5. The mastermind principle. The hook. Imagine 2 horses pulling a heavy wagon. Alone, each horse can pull about 5,000 pounds. But when the 2 work together, something extraordinary happens. They can pull not just 10,000 pounds, but closer to 15,000. Why? Because their combined effort multiplies their strength. Napoleon Hill called this miracle of combined energy the mastermind principle. He believed it was one of the most powerful laws of success. Simply put, when 2 or more minds come together in harmony, a third, invisible mind is created, a greater power that lifts them beyond what they could ever achieve alone. 1. A story of 2 men and a steel empire. In the early 1900s, a young reporter sat in the home of steel magnate Andrew Carnegie. That reporter was Napoleon Hill himself. Carnegie explained that he was not the richest man in America because he was the smartest, or the strongest, or even the most educated. He was rich because he understood how to gather great minds around him. Carnegie surrounded himself with brilliant engineers, managers, and visionaries. He encouraged them to share ideas, challenge each other, and work in harmony toward a single goal. Together, their combined thinking built the steel empire that helped shape modern America. Carnegie told Hill, "No man becomes rich without enriching others. My secret is simple. I rely on the mastermind." This moment struck Hill so deeply that he spent the next 25 years studying success. And in every story of wealth, invention, leadership, or greatness, he found the same truth: no one succeeds alone. 2. The secret of harmony. The mastermind is not just about gathering people in a room. Anyone can do that. The real secret lies in harmony. When people come together in trust and respect, their ideas blend like notes in a song. Out of that harmony comes creativity, energy, and solutions that no single person could have found. But when people gather with jealousy, suspicion, or ego, nothing grows. The mastermind works only when there is unity of purpose and sincerity of cooperation. Think of Thomas Edison. He is often remembered as a lone genius, but in truth, Edison had a team of skilled minds working beside him at Menlo Park. Together, they tested thousands of experiments, each adding ideas and insights until light itself was captured in a bulb. Edison may have been the leader, but his mastermind team made the dream possible. 3. A tale from small-town America. Let me bring this idea closer to home. In a small town in Ohio, there lived 2 friends, Sarah and Linda. Sarah dreamed of starting a bakery. She was an excellent baker, but she had no head for business. Linda was not a baker, but she was brilliant with numbers and marketing. Alone, Sarah struggled. She had delicious cakes but no customers. Alone, Linda had business knowledge but nothing to sell. One day, they joined forces. Sarah baked, Linda handled the business, and together they opened Sweet Harmony Bakery. Within a year, their little shop became the busiest place in town. That's the mastermind in action. Neither could have done it alone, but together they created something bigger than themselves. 4. Building your own mastermind. So how do you create a mastermind in your own life? Napoleon Hill gave a clear process. 1. Choose your allies carefully. Look for people with skills, knowledge, and attitudes that complement your own. Avoid negative thinkers, for they poison the harmony. 2. Share a definite purpose. A mastermind only works if everyone is working toward the same aim. Without unity of direction, energy scatters. 3. Meet regularly. Whether weekly, monthly, or even daily, consistency builds momentum. Each meeting is like adding logs to a fire. 4. Encourage honesty and openness. Ideas must flow freely. Criticism should build, not destroy. 5. Give and receive. A mastermind is not about taking. It is about mutual exchange, where each person contributes to the growth of the others. It doesn't matter if your mastermind group is 2 people or 10. What matters is the spirit of harmony and the clarity of purpose. 5. The invisible mind. Hill believed that when a mastermind works in harmony, an invisible intelligence comes into play. He described it almost like a spiritual force, a third mind, created by the union of 2 or more minds. Skeptical? Let's test it with a simple example. Have you ever been in a brainstorming session where ideas bounced so quickly you felt like the group was channeling creativity? Suddenly, answers appeared that no single person had considered. That's the invisible mind at work. It is not magic. It is the natural result of focused minds blending their energies. 6. A story of America's revolution. Even the birth of America itself was the result of a mastermind. 13 colonies, divided by distance and differences, came together for a single purpose: independence. Men like Washington, Jefferson, Franklin, and Adams did not agree on every detail, but they worked in harmony toward the same aim. The Declaration of Independence was not written by one man alone. It was the product of a mastermind, refined and strengthened by many voices. And from that united effort came the birth of a nation. 7. Bringing it home now. Let's bring this lesson back to you. Think about your goals. Maybe you want to start a business, improve your health, write a book, or grow spiritually. Ask yourself, who could I join forces with to multiply my strength? It could be a mentor who guides you, a partner who shares your vision, a small group that meets for encouragement and accountability. The key is harmony. If you find the right people and join your minds in faith and purpose, you will tap into a power far greater than anything you can summon alone. The lesson Napoleon Hill called the mastermind one of the cornerstones of success. It is the law of multiplying power through harmony. Andrew Carnegie used it to build his steel empire. Edison used it to invent the light bulb. America used it to win independence. Sarah and Linda used it to build a bakery. And you can use it too. Remember this: one stick can be broken easily, but tie 10 sticks together, and they are unbreakable. Alone, you are strong, but together, in harmony, you are unstoppable. So today, ask yourself, who will be in my mastermind? Because the truth is simple: no great success is ever achieved alone. Backhand index pointing right. That's part 5. Written in Napoleon Hill's story-driven style, around 1,000 words. Part 6. The power of persistence. The hook. There's an old American saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But let me tell you the truth most people never hear. Success rarely comes to the person who is the smartest, the strongest, or the luckiest. It comes to the one who refuses to quit. Persistence is the golden thread that ties all other principles together. Without it, every plan dies. With it, even the smallest dream can grow into greatness. Napoleon Hill said it best: there is no substitute for persistence. The person who makes up their mind to win does not recognize temporary defeat. 1. The miner who stopped 3 feet short. Hill tells the story of a man named R.U. Darby, who joined the gold rush in Colorado. Darby and his uncle dug for weeks and found a small vein of gold. Excited, they borrowed money, bought machinery, and began digging deeper. At first, it looked promising. But then, the gold vanished. They kept digging, but nothing appeared. Tired and frustrated, they gave up. They sold the machinery to a junk dealer for pennies on the dollar. That junk dealer did something simple but powerful. He hired a mining engineer to study the land. The engineer discovered that the Darbys had stopped digging just 3 feet away from one of the richest veins of gold ever found in Colorado. Darby walked away defeated. The junk dealer became rich. The lesson? Success often hides just beyond the point where most people quit. 2. Edison and the 1,000 failures. Thomas Edison's quest to invent the light bulb is legendary. People say he failed over 1,000 times before finding the right solution. But Edison didn't see failure the way most people do. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail 1,000 times, Edison smiled and said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." That's persistence. He never saw defeat as final. He saw it as feedback. And because of that mindset, he gave the world light. 3. The Wright brothers take flight. At the dawn of the 20th century, many scientists, engineers, and inventors tried to build a flying machine. Most failed and gave up. But in Dayton, Ohio, 2 brothers who owned a bicycle shop refused to stop trying. Orville and Wilbur Wright had no government funding, no college degrees, and no powerful backers. What they had was persistence. They studied, tested, crashed, and rebuilt, over and over. While better-funded inventors abandoned their dreams, the Wright brothers kept working. In December 1903, they finally flew the first powered airplane at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. It wasn't luck. It wasn't money. It was persistence. 4. Ordinary persistence, extraordinary results. Persistence isn't just for inventors or millionaires. It works in everyday life. Take the story of Maria, a single mother from Texas. She dreamed of finishing her nursing degree, but life made it nearly impossible. She worked nights, raised 2 children, and often wanted to quit, but every semester she told herself, one class at a time. She persisted. Years later, she walked across the graduation stage, her children cheering in the crowd. Maria didn't become famous, but she built a better future because she refused to give up. That's the quiet, unstoppable power of persistence. 5. How to develop persistence. Napoleon Hill taught that persistence is not a gift, it's a habit, something you can build. Here are 4 steps he outlined. 1. Definiteness of purpose. Know exactly what you want. A weak purpose creates weak persistence. A burning desire creates unstoppable willpower. Point 2. A definite plan. Even if it's imperfect, have a plan. Plans give direction. Without one, persistence has no focus. Point 3. A mind closed to negativity, doubts and discouragement will come. Shut the door on them. Surround yourself with faith and encouragement. Point 4. A mastermind alliance. Remember part 5? Persistence grows when you have allies who lift you up. Alone, you may fall. Together, you keep moving. Persistence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. 6. The American spirit of persistence. Think of America's own history. The settlers who crossed the ocean faced hunger, storms, and unknown lands. The pioneers who moved west crossed deserts and mountains with nothing but wagons and hope. Had they quit, the nation would never have grown. Persistence is written into the American spirit. And if it lived in them, it lives in you too. 7. Bringing it home. Let's bring this lesson to your life. Where have you been tempted to give up? Maybe on a business idea, a dream, a relationship, or even your own self-belief. Ask yourself, am I 3 feet from gold? Remember, every setback carries a lesson. Every failure carries a seed of success. If you keep pressing forward, if you refuse to quit, if you persist, your victory is already on its way. The lesson: persistence is the final key. Without it, desire fades. With it, ordinary people achieve extraordinary success. Darby quit too soon and lost his gold. Edison persisted and gave us light. The Wright brothers persisted and gave us flight. Maria persisted and gave her children a better life. And you? Your story is still being written. So make this decision today. I will not quit. I will persist until I win. Final call to action, my friend. This concludes our journey through Napoleon Hill's timeless principles. You've learned about intention, gratitude, positive thought, kindness, priorities, daily learning, reflection, progress, the mastermind, and persistence. But knowledge alone is not enough. Action is the key. Backhand index pointing right. If this message inspired you, here's what I ask: subscribe so you don't miss the next series. Share this with someone who needs encouragement right now. And leave a comment below. Tell me, what dream are you going to persist in until you win? Your story could be the spark that lights someone else's fire. Remember this: success belongs not to the smartest or the luckiest, but to the one who refuses to quit. So persist. Keep digging. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Because your gold, your light, your wings are waiting just a few steps beyond where others stop. White heavy check mark. That's part 6, the final part in Napoleon Hill's story style, around 1,000 words, with inspiration plus practical steps plus a clear call to action.